Well, hello indie people, how are you guys doing? And I've just come back from Morrisons, the supermarket in the UK, because they have recently announced that they're going to be doing a quiet hour every single weekend on a Saturday. And the reason I'm making this video today is really to share my experiences about their quiet hour, you know, what I thought was good about it, but also things that I feel as an autistic person they could improve. But if you're new to my channel and you don't know anything about it, basically my channel focuses on autism awareness and promoting acceptance, you know, talking different aspects of the condition. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, then please consider subscribing down below and turning on those notifications so you do not miss an upload. So what was my experience with Morrisons Autism Quiet Hour? Well, overall, I will say the experience was quite positive because I felt that the adjustments that were made were really good and made my shopping experience a lot easier. You know, because I find shopping in supermarkets in particular really stressful, especially where I live as well. Like, we go to an Asda. Literally, it's just an absolute bomb site at the best of times. You know, just people running around everywhere, people screaming, there's lights, there's music. So when I went into Morrisons, it was so refreshing to see that there was no music on, the lights were dimmed down a little bit, and really the atmosphere was a lot quieter. Like, that was the first thing that I noticed as soon as I walked in the door, and to me that was a lot more inviting than when I go to Asda. And I go to Asda very often, you know, where the lights are just bright as hell, and then there's like a James Blunt song in the background being like, "You're beautiful, it's true." You know, like, you don't go shopping to listen to music, do you? You go there to buy stuff so you can live. But what I liked about their quiet hour was that it felt like they made some form of effort. You know, the lights were turned down, like I say, there was no music on. Generally, I felt so relaxed, and that was like the main positive for me. Like, I felt relaxed in a supermarket. So for me, that was a really good part of the quiet hour. Now, even though there are these positives, I think there are things that Morrisons could consider for the future and basically try to improve on. There was a sign up saying that there was a quieter hour, but it was like off to the side. So say that this is the entrance to go into like the grocery bit. Like, the sign was like off to the side. Now for me, if I didn't know about the quieter hour, I wouldn't have known it was actually going on. So it would have made more sense for Morrisons to put the sign smack bang in the centre saying, "We've got a quiet hour going on." That, to me, would show that they are fully embracing of the fact that they are doing this and they support it, if that makes sense. Also, while I was walking around as well, I noticed that some of the lights were still on to full capacity in some areas of the store. I think this is more for a health and safety point of view, which to me, again, it would have been nice if all of the lights were slightly dimmer, because I do find lights in supermarkets quite bright anyway. But the fact that they did turn lights down in the majority of the store, I thought was actually really, really good. There was still Morrisons employees moving stock about on the shop floor. So they had pallets of stock on these metal movie things, and when these metal movie things move, they make quite a lot of noise, and because the music was turned down, it amplified that sound. When it comes to the actual quiet hour, I think it is important that Morrisons considers the fact that the stock should be out either before or after the quiet hour, because doing something like that where you're moving objects during a quiet hour when it's supposed to be quieter, you know, having a loud sound like that can actually be quite distressing for someone on the autism spectrum. And when it came to actually checking out, this was something I thought was very, very odd. Basically, do you know the checkout people, you know, who check your items, scan the barcodes, all of that stuff? Their beepers were still quite loud, and even though in the article it said that they were going to be turned down to half volume, they still felt very loud, very high pitched to me. And for me, short, loud sounds really get to me, so I think it would have been better if they were just turned off completely, because we went to a self-checkout and the beeper wasn't turned on at all. And this is the bit that really confused me. You know, if you can do that with the self-service checkouts, why can't you do that with the ordinary checkouts with the checkout people? You know, to me personally, that seems a little bit strange, and I think it's something that Morrisons really need to consider, you know, either turn them down even more or just turn them off completely. And then once we scanned all of the items through, went to pay, there was a loud voice saying, "If you've got a Morrisons More card, please scan it now." And that actually made my fiance a little bit scared, and she's not even autistic. And then as we were leaving Morrisons, I didn't see an actual feedback box, which I think would be really, really beneficial, because yes, Morrisons have been talking to the National Autistic Society about conducting this quieter hour, which is honestly an amazing thing. I think that would have been really, really good if Morrisons had like some form of feedback box, allowing people who are on the autism spectrum, or families with autistic people, or even people who are not on the spectrum, giving feedback in a discreet way, and then Morrisons can actually take all of the feedback on board and make those considerations and make those adjustments. And just hearing back from the customers themselves who are actually taking the time out of their day to go to Morrisons to shop. You know, I think Morrisons are really missing a trick with that. So overall, I think Morrisons did a really, really great job. I think there are points of improvement, but I'm hoping that someone in Morrisons sees this video, you know, works at Morrisons, and they show them this video. And also, I really think that other supermarkets and other stores really need to consider doing something like this, you know, following Morrisons' example. Going out to supermarkets can be a really stressful experience for myself on the autism spectrum and other people on the autism spectrum. So making small accommodations can really benefit us, because at the end of the day, if you're making your supermarket or your store more accessible, then that means people are more likely to come to your store and actually conduct business, if that makes sense. And actually talking about businesses doing more for autistic people, the National Autistic Society are actually running a campaign called Autism OA, and basically this is a week in October where businesses can sign up and make adjustments for autistic people through the course of the week. So if you're an employee of a store and you think that this might be something that you want to do, I'll leave the links down below to the National Autistic Society's Autism Hour. But actually, while I'm talking about the National Autistic Society, I did a post for them talking about why Autism Hour, for me as an autistic person, is actually a really important thing. And I'll leave that down below as well. There's not just my story, there's other people's stories in there. Just have a look down below. It's actually really, really interesting read, and it's very insightful, I'd say. But I want to know, guys, have you been to Morrisons for their quiet hour? You know, what were your thoughts about it? What were the positives? What were the negatives about it? Also, what are your thoughts on quiet hours in general? And also, the big question that I would love you guys to answer is, should other businesses, supermarkets, do quiet hours for people on the autism spectrum? That is something I would love you guys to answer down below in those comments for me. It'd be great to hear from you. And with that, guys, that's the end of this Autism Quiet Hour review. Thank you so much for joining me. But if you did enjoy this, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and turn on those notifications. Stay you, stay indie. I hope you have a really, really great day, and I'll see you all very soon. See you later, guys.